Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. Have you ever wondered what is possible beyond possible? What is the thing you've been wondering and inquiring about? Are you just feeling stuck and don't know why? Are you thinking or are you seeing? Seeing allows us to expand and have this other experience. We want to invite you for that wake-up call. We want to invite your spirit, your soul, so to be more alive, more connected. Glenn Brooks has been a life coach for over 33 years, author of Divorced to Patterns, Not Each Other, an explorer of what is possible. He has worked with people all around the world. Join us for a wake-up conversation, a dialogue with you. We will have some of the most interesting contributors. We will be talking to some of the most interesting people and have some of the most resourceful teachers, wisdom-filled people from around the world join us. Share your voice, ask the questions, become free of the known into a new world of possibility. We are going to talk about all the things you wonder about: how to live, how to heal, how to connect, how to love, how to be seen. Your life is precious. Enjoy it.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Wonderful hearing your voice. Wonderful. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sherry. Good afternoon, Sherry. Good morning. Good afternoon. Lisa, I renamed you, but Lisa LaRose, producer, deep friend, old soul producer. Dr. Stacy Feiner, innovator, developing a new message. Business. Everybody says to me, "What's a business psychologist? Is that something new?" And I said, "I don't know. I'll need to ask Stacy about that. I don't know. It sounds good."
Well, Glenn, if you haven't heard of a business psychologist, it must be new and innovative. You are knower of all things. Come on.
Oh, thank you. I love this quote. I love this quote because it's such a good quote. So the Dalai Lama, one of the big guns, right? He says that he says be kind whenever possible, and then he said it's always possible. I love that. Mm-hmm. Be kind whenever possible. Right? Isn't that beautiful? It's kind of like so to really exhale when we're busy, right? We get tricked by being busy. Hurry, my teacher says, is a sure sign of poverty. I'm always happy when I take that pause. And so I was talking to Stacy this morning about this, but the pause that we're in, the involuntary pause, has done all these wonderful things, and yet it might be one of the most challenging periods ever on so many levels. But the paradox, and I was talking to Dr. Gayle Randall about this too, that this idea that so much is happening so quick, and yet there's this opportunity to develop our emotional endurance. So what is emotional endurance? How do we become slower so we can, in some sense, move faster, but not the kind of fast where we're rushing? And how do we take what we might call meditation and bring it into our lives in a way where it's inclusive of life, and we could, in some sense, find this new breath, a different breath. We're being asked so much, and if we thought we were an information overload or anxiety overload, it definitely seems like there's so much more. So I want to encourage you guys to exhale 3 times with me. Usually it takes me at least 15 minutes to integrate the opening of the program. I feel like, how could I ever feel anywhere near the promise of the introduction of the program? But I'm really happy you're with me. I'm really happy with Vibrant Living. And to my right, I feel it to my right, my general, my co-host, there's so many my's here. My reverend friend and family member, Dr. Gayle Randall, who I always like referring to as an anthropologist of the possible, being the new breed of doctor that she is, the inquirer that she is, and also someone that I as many of you know or don't know, I my first meeting with Dr. Randall was a miracle down by the dumpster, because it was. You know, when you're down by a dumpster, you really can't be bragging or have much ego about things. I really need to have a conversation. So I reached out to the other side of the country because I felt I needed to call her. I didn't have a linear reason why. People always say, why? I really didn't know why. I felt like, well, it sounds like she's the combination of a medicine woman, a person who cares about families, cares about the planet, and she seems to have the whole nutritional thing. So I did the unthinkable. I called without a linear reason. I just called. I get to kind of use my experiential journalist hat. And I said, I'd like to speak to Dr. Gayle Randall. And about 4 or 5 days later, she called, and I'm honored that she's here. We've been doing ceremony. What ceremony means to me, by the way, is to just take moments in the day, because it was a period. Sometimes there's periods in our lives we just need someone to listen to us. So we even could sense that we even have a sense we could go beyond the noise or the disturbance that we feel in our system. I've experienced that and been blessed by that with Dr. Gayle Randall. I'm so happy she's with us. I guess it's over a year now. It's dang close, if not over a year. We've been.
I think it was May, but it was May. But
okay.
Honestly,
okay.
Glenn, I
yes.
picked the phone up right then when you called. Right then. When you called the first time.
Oh, you did? Did I?
Yeah.
And
I had cancellations. I think you just took a pause in his story.
Okay. Okay.
But anyway.
All right.
But I had patients that canceled, and we spoke for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows that experience, raise your hand.
Yeah, but when Glenn called me, Stacy, he was in the dark night of his soul, and we had to transgress out of that place together. And we found out we had Valerie Hunt, who probably connected us with us, and it was an incredible journey for both of us.
Yeah, I might as well acknowledge Dr. Valerie Hunt today. Dr. Valerie Hunt was one of my, I know she was a family member. She made me laugh. She was a scientist who studied, was around some of the healers, the greatest healers on the planet. Valerie would study as a scientist at UCLA. I was so graced to know that Gayle had a relationship. And on that phone call, the Miracle Down by the Dumpster, I could feel Valerie was on the call, and Gayle had told me, I love you, and Valerie's here with us right now. So it was like, I was crying down by the dumpster, and it was the beginning. And that's what I want to say to you guys, that I love you to begin today. Begin in this moment. Just begin. Only don't know. Be willing to put behind us what you know, what's been known. Mm-hmm. In my conversation with Stacy this morning, I saw for a brief moment, that I was doing something sort of habitually, but didn't see it. And very gently, Stacy gave me some feedback that it was like, oh, I value this versus that. I value deep and sometimes intense conversations, but sometimes I'm not able to meet someone close to me because of how I bring myself to the conversation. And then she showed me that I have a certain judgment. I push away from what I call superficial. But in the conversation, I saw like meeting people where they are and entering is much better than having a position about something. And it was such a gift. That was a beautiful way to wake up this morning. It energized me, by the way, Stacy.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Those moments are, they are soulful. I think, so I'm new to this conversation, and I think yesterday or maybe a week ago, I might have said those conversations are really rewarding. But today, I feel like I could say those conversations are really soulful. And I appreciate I loved, of course, we always love to bring our best to others or to bring our art. So, I mean, I wasn't just bringing my best as your friend. I was also channeling what I think is my gift, and I'm glad it resonated with you, and I could feel it resonate, and your openness to it was great. And, and I like that you were open to it, and it made me feel good too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So maybe giving and receiving are one.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I also learned. Yeah.
I'm with you, Stacy. I'm with you, Gayle, as well. Okay, we're all having this is like a wisdom brunch.
So you asked a little bit about what is emotional endurance.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're all talking a lot about emotion expressed, in lots of different ways. Sometimes emotion gets unbearable and it expresses in stress. Sometimes it becomes, so alive in us, it's vibrant. And certainly in these times, it's very hard, I think, to put our finger on how we're feeling right now or what's happening around us, because on the one hand, everything looks so much the same, right? Visually, like all the what do you say? All the all the things are the same, but it's this invisible change.
Yes.
And I think that's the space of the spirit and emotion and psychology. It's the space that I play in. It's the invisible. It's the invisible dynamics that this world or this culture doesn't spend a lot of time. Doesn't give a lot of credibility because we can't measure it or see it.
Yes.
So it's very uncomfortable right now.
But it's that discomfort. It's actually that discomfort that's the gift. This pause that this entire world is feeling right now is uncomfortable. But I feel differently. I feel we're all born resilient, and we have the ability to struggle through this, and it's the struggle that causes us to grow and evolve. And running away from it or hiding or shaping it or putting into some labels on it or whatever, and getting into me, our new health program, I mean, that's all good. But what we really need to do right now is dig down deep into the reserves of power we were born with. That's our heritage. And our inner warriors will rise, because now is our chance to come together as a people, as a one people, to evolve and transform. And that's going to be our ultimate chance for survival and for our planet. I feel like the guy that threw his little paper away when they won the Oscar. But that's what it's really all about right now. This virus, and a lot of people, every time I say this on Instagram, I lose 1,000 friends. But we have to take responsibility. And I don't see as everything the same. I see everything is different. The skies are clear. The oceans are clear. The biggest ozone hole that we had over the Arctic healed a couple of days ago. Scientists are astounded. They never thought that could happen without us. So we need to get together with our planet and each other and keep this vibration, this vibrant path going.
Yeah, I think that's so important, Gayle, what you just shared, because, and I think it's a deeper metaphor. They were saying that in India, the pollution has cleared up, that people are actually able to see the buildings. They're able to see things around them. The pandas, they said that they're bathing again. They want to go into the water. I mean, I think it's really in so many ways, it's very exciting, and it's what you choose to see out of it. Do you want to see the fear and the isolation, or do you want to see a new beginning and an opportunity of growing a new consciousness and awareness of oneness, what that truly means for each of us? I mean, we've been in isolation, which is a oneness in and of itself. But now that now that we have that opportunity, we're like, okay, being 6 feet apart from you doesn't feel so comfortable. What does it feel like when we are together, when we hold hands, when we commune, when we give a hug? It's going to be a really amazing thing to watch. What's going to unfold, and I'd love to hear the panel's comments on their thoughts about what you envision for the future.
Well, I envision a better world where we're all thinking together and we hold one thought. If we had 1 million people that could think one thought together, if even us, we're very powerful people, as vibrant people, if we could all think together at the same time, that the planet is first, that we are going to be the guardians of our planet the way we originally agreed to be. If we can get 1 million people to think the same thing, it'll just happen.
Well, I do believe that kind of prayer. I do believe that's prayer. And
it's collective thought. It's the one mind. Yeah. It's touching God's face.
I agree.
Say more. So
It's almost like the
interconnectedness
of the interconnectedness of it all.
Yeah.
From the dogmastic.
From the dog.
So the other day, Sherry and Vibrant panel, I was looking at this picture of it's an Argentinian dogo. It's a dogo. It's an Argentinian mastiff. And I saw one picture on this website. It was a website for a breeder. And the guy's hugging the dogo. And that just meant everything to me. I just saw that and I said, I went to your website. I know you had a lot of print on the website, but that one picture, I want to speak to the person who's able to connect to the dogo like that, because that connection, wherever we experience it, that connection, that moment when we feel that connection with the infinite, that moment, that kind of takes us beyond our limiting identity, our limiting script. And when I spoke to Lisa, I think I told you this. So this morning I was getting help from the Mac computer guy, Tyler. And I always ask people, I say, hey, what's your take on everything? Like, on any level, what would you want to share with me about what's happening, And Tyler's response, and I had a smile because I thought about Lisa. He goes, oh, this is definitely a conspiracy. and I was like, no, I know you don't. But I think some people push so hard away from that word, which is fine. I mean, I don't use the word either. I just think what's interesting, and I think Gayle, I think you cut to the heart of the matter, because you said to me last week that beneath everything is kind of like, well, what's our deeper pulse? What's our deeper mission? What's deeper than that? Because some people, they hear that and they get kind of crazy with that. They get sort of limited, and I know my son, who I have a lot of reverence for, he was saying, like, as an example, workers going on strike and really standing up for, like, being in conditions that are sane, respectful, where they're like social change, sort of like what are the deeper policies that we could partake in that honor human beings? Like, there's another whole level going on that's up for grabs now, and that's what to me is profoundly significant. And it was totally funny when he said that. I love the way he said it to me. Oh yeah, this is totally a conspiracy. I just love when he.
I like what you're saying about the change and how we reshape this is up for grabs.
Yes.
I think that is really the tenor. And I think I don't feel the people who I am working with and the webinars that I am doing for people and the coaching that I'm doing and the, the scenario planning as business owners get ready to bring their employees back, I don't feel that they are seeing the opportunity. I don't feel that they're even close to the notion of that one voice. Their fear and their concerns are just palpable. And so I think that I want to get
yeah, but those seeds need to be planted by someone like you, who knows both sides, who knows the business.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I feel like my work is I have to help people get through a lot of their fear and anxiety and stress, whatever they're calling it. Those are the three big words, in order to help them get grounded or to find the power that we have to reshape something. I
for sure.
love that.
It requires awareness first, and that's you're marching through the muck of it and getting them to that point. But when you get them to that point, they plant that seed in that hole, and it'll sprout.
Yeah. I wonder if you guys like this notion of emotional endurance and having three parts. Let me just throw this out to you. Kind of awareness, which is the recognition that you impact others and influence your environment. And self-awareness is knowing how, knowing that you do, and then doing it consciously, shaping it, influencing others consciously. Then there's perspective, which is allowing the environment to influence you and seeking the ideas and the points of views and the gifts of others and, integrating them. And then having options on how to take that awareness and that perspective and do more with it, better with it. Those are kinds of the ways that I've been helping business owners think about their own emotions. So a lot of business owners are thinking about what to do, which is important, but it's also they need help understanding how to feel or how to express how they're feeling. And so that's the space that I've been working on, emotional endurance. That's how I've been trying to do that, Gayle. So I was just wondering what you thought of those, all of you, what you all thought of that.
Well, it's beautiful. It's an organized way to get to, what I like to teach, and that is, the number one step to getting into all of this is awareness, and you're spelling it out, and that's beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
because everybody is in that. In the beginning, everybody was like business owners were all in that that fear-based moment of what's going to happen to our business, and not looking at it as not looking at this as a opportunity to slow down and enjoy the present moment.
Well,
and
it's
togetherness
rough,
and the bonding.
Jerry. You're right. I said you're right. It's been rough. I'm a business owner. I got completely knocked out of my saddle. I had to close the office. We were on quarantine. My nurse got the COVID, blah, blah, blah. But, see, I'm the kind of person that likes to, rise above that and look at it like, what is the gift here? Because otherwise it's going to drag you down, and they're just distractions to the overall pause. This is a pause.
Right, and the fear and
how do we turn? Just like when we heal
people,
we ask them to change their perspective. When we heal businesses, we need to have them have a new perspective too. It's about moving forward with this new perspective.
True.
So Sherry, you're just right on.
Sherry. Sherry. What I was going to say is I think in the beginning, and I did a series with a surgeon. He had written a book about going beyond normal, or not going beyond this idea of getting back to normal. So I think in the beginning stages, I think people had a startle. They wanted to get right back to normal, and I think what's happening now, and this is the gift, I think, is that we're asking these bigger questions, and we're slowing down. We're slowing down, and Stacy, you brought up something this morning, and you said it a little differently, but I was just thinking to myself, what would happen if big businesses now really reached out to other businesses, smaller businesses, and just reached out and actually financially and ethically and just kind of, if you will, join that community. Like I was thinking about Whole Foods in the community I'm in. There's an opportunity for them. Like, it's really fascinating to me. The kind of sales they had 3 months ago, I just think their sales have been less. And I feel like there's an opportunity now for them to step up and to really, and they do, I know they do some things, but it kind of reminds you, like right now, I'm also annoyed isn't the right word, but there's certain people that are teaching seminars just based on how to eradicate the virus for $200. And I kind of feel like I'm going to ask some of them to also be generous. Don't pirate something right now. This isn't the time to pirate.
No, you're right. A lot of I'm not going to say who, prominent doctors are forming courses to teach people how to be healthy right now through this thing. And I'm thinking this is not a time to get, to do things for money. I know that sounds terrible, but I mean no, but they're taking advantage of the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. We all need money. This is part of our culture, unfortunately, but we, don't take advantage, contribute. This is a time to contribute.
And all come together to help as much as possible to build that bond and helping hands. We're gonna as we listen to Sherry, the dog mystic. Your dog is your doorway to meditation, flow. Stay with us. Stay with us for more vibrant living in you. Your life's precious. Enjoy it. Exhale. We'll continue.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Glenn Brooks. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm just pausing. I'm always honored to explore things with the panel. I'm always to be a coach. It's a beautiful thing to let things coach you, to let new input, and being able to be willing to see a little differently. As a matter of fact, we're having a new series come on Vibrant Seeing, which is all about being able to be able to see and allow beyond our looking. Right? So, one of the things that happened in my life was in my meeting Dr. Randall, I realized that a lot of what was happening was a new level of seeing, or spiritual seeing, this ability to soften. So I encourage you as you walk today and breathe today, to pause and feel your feet. and let your, feel your breath exhale. And just that moment, there was a guy named Randy McNamara. He was hit by a helicopter blade, and he did the surgery without medication. And he said, it took so much allowing. So the practice today, if you will, is the welcoming of now. The welcoming is to, right when you're hurried, right when you're pressed, to welcome that thing in, to welcome it. And it's a challenging practice, right? Because it's so easy not to welcome. So when I said a moment ago before we went to break, I said I saw this picture of this dog. We got the dog mystic with us today. It's Jerry Marquez. Upcoming book, The Dog Mystic, being in deep tune with your dog. I just saw this one picture of an Argentinian dogo. It is a mystic. It's a beautiful dog. I saw it, and I felt the picture put me in emotional concurrence. I felt like I saw the picture of the dog, and it kind of reset me. The way that I'm sure a lot of you, if you pause and see a spring flower, if you pause and there's this woman that's giving away $100 now. She has the $100 project, and she says it feels so good in her heart. And they said to her, "What about if people rip you off?" And she says, "Even if they rip me off, I feel good in my heart to give away $100 because I know $100 for some people is going to be a life-changing difference." And I was like, "Wow." Imagine being on your mission so strong that even if people ripped her off, she said it's so worth it because people have written her letters from all around the country. President Obama just wrote her a letter to acknowledge her project. So the little thing.
Basically, she can't be ripped off, and I think that's
right. Beautiful.
That's the passion. That's when you're in your zone or in your groove, and you're doing what you're put on the planet to do, and it's manifesting in a way that is both, what somebody said once, and I love this, a legacy is a selfish pursuit that benefits others.
That's funny.
I love that.
Do you love that, Lisa?
I do.
Okay.
I had to think about it for a second, but I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm glad, Glenn, that you brought up the flowers because, we all live in the same world, and what we choose to see is really up to us. Do you see the flowers or do you see the litter next to the flowers? And if you do see the litter next to the flowers, do you pick it up? And do you take care of it so that it doesn't, pollute the world? And I know, Stacy, you have, you work in the business realm with a lot of different people, but you teach people how you get out of that routine that keeps you stuck and to give you sort of to shift your perceptions. I'm wondering if you could give the audience maybe a few insights into how you can consciously, retrain yourself to awaken.
I love that question, and just just sharing the insight about how people are in routines. I said last week, kind of a sleep at the wheel, and it's so many different ways to think about it. Sometimes I think about it, everybody sees themselves kind of wrestling for their own self-expression and also to have a sense of belonging. And it's such it's become a real trap for people because on the one hand, where people are looking for belonging and acceptance, they haven't found it. And it's forced a lot of people to let's just say overcompensate. If I'm using words that don't make sense, just help me find better words. I'm speaking out loud, and I am stuck in a lot of jargon sometimes in my world. So if you can pull me into different words, I'll take them. But people are stuck, overextended, and over what was the word I used? They're just overcompensating. overcompensating and being and working on, their own, finding their own things and accumulating their own things. And so we're kind of out of balance. And this idea that you mentioned about how to help people restore or break routines, I think one way I've been doing it is, and I'd like your feedback on this, is sitting with business owners. They are, right, I coach them on a regular basis, sometimes for more self-awareness, sometimes to help them have better perspective, sometimes to, you know their options and take action. So lots of different scenarios. But in the face of this uncertainty, I've been encouraging them, when they don't know, to find and use their intuition. And intuition has really been constrained, if not ignored, in people, in individuals. So you're right when you say, I think it was Gayle who talked about, finding it within themselves. Well, we've all said it, seeing the flower, not the trash, or picking up the trash. Is this awakening their own intuition. And when you don't have answers from the external world and you're in the midst of uncertainty, we have to help people find their gift, their of intuition. And from intuition, I talk about these 4 other things: the capacity to broaden capacity, to live with complexity, to find more connection, and to connect with humanity. Those are the 5 things that I'm using to answer or to expound on that point, Lisa, working with business owners to get them to break old habits and to evolve into something that they want more, that they've wanted but haven't been able to get because of the constraints of routine.
Well, that's beautiful, Stacy. I love those steps you just outlined. I used to teach intuition to medical students. I'd love to teach with you. I'd love to teach your business guys intuition. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I agree. This idea of and really intuition is self, and again, I think it's being open to non-self. Intuition is being open to all there is. And if everybody has this tool, we all have it. If we haven't exercised it, it's just like a bicep you haven't used. It gets a little wimpy. But you can teach people intuition. I used to pass out rocks to these medical students. You can connect them to their intuition. Well, no, I teach them how to feel intuitive, and that in that way, because when you're a doctor, and this is probably true some way in business, I don't know, if you get an intuition, it's really a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer. Intuition is a no-brainer. It comes out of nowhere. And then you can check it out. You can do a test, so there's no harm in using your intuition in medicine. As a matter of fact, it's a great advantage. And I've been one of my major strong points throughout my career.
I was thinking about this idea of the model. Is it Maslow's the model of actualization, according to Maslow?
Yeah.
That people need the ground of their survival. They need these basic needs. And I was going through a period of time in my life. I was about 19 or so, and I was in between 2 worlds. I was in between this world where I was very interested in living this other life. I was interested in living a different life. I was really interested in teaching, and I'd been very influenced by some authors, and I realized at a certain point I was a writer. Actually, I realized I was a writer. I was driving on the Mass Pike, and Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way, she says, I could say one thing for sure. She says, if your writing teacher says you have no chance at writing, it will never happen, you might as well get out of this class. You're a great writer. I heard her say that. I thought, wow, that was what I like to hear. I love these unschooling comments. They speak to my soul. So I was doing temporary jobs, and they called this. Now, what happened, the woman that got me the jobs, Anne Green, she was in the middle of a transformational journey. And she was very relational with me. She said, well, I just did this weekend. I gave up my birth control pills. I feel so much more. This is the conversations we had before she sent me on a temporary job. So one day she said, Glenn, I'm sending you today to put styrofoam squares in cinder blocks. I didn't say I was psyched, but I said I was going. And she said, Glenn, she goes, I want you to just teach these seminars. And she came and picked me up. I actually quit. I quit that day. But it was like, here I am. I'm getting in these environments, and I was thinking about what Stacy was saying about this idea of bottom feeders, and the idea that people are in such unjust situations, and it's so disproportional, And so when I started at some point, I got this notion, and I got it from this one author, that to go beyond the competitive plane and to kind of let my life reflect vertical leaps, unexplainable leaps. And it was really Anne who encouraged me. My parents, I think the quality of your life, the questions that people ask you and sort of envision you in, they ask you a question, but there's a nudge. There's an invisible nudge in that, and the nudge is kind of like, right? The invisible nudge is this beautiful thing that's transferred. So I began to see my life from this other perspective. I started to teach. I didn't teach in any official capacity, but I taught this class at the university called the Feeling Great Club. And I would have people practicing gazing. And I realized from this other level, and I was talking to Sherry about beingness. We're so focused on doing, but we don't see the power of beingness. And this is so true around dogs. That dogs live in this other world. And if we're receptive, they'll induct us. They'll bring us into this other world. And it's this beautiful transfer. So here I am. I'm teaching these. I'm going to share with people practices that I'm practicing. And I realized at a certain point, after people gaze and they breathe together, the whole feeling in the room is so different. And it's like people come to things, like even when people walk back in the room, and I would say to them, don't go back to your chair. Discover, see where you're supposed to sit. It's kind of like just slowing it down. But I realized if I thought about it from Maslow's model, I get the rational brilliance of it, but at the same time, I felt this other place in me that was, so how do I leap beyond how do I go beyond the circumstance, which seems terribly unfair and cruel and unjust? So, you know what I mean? The paradox of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's. Well, so I have been using Maslow's. I think I mentioned it last week.
Yes.
Helping people feel like they're in such extremes, but you're right. I think that's really helpful in bringing it full circle to what Gayle had started with regard to the opportunity to change, and that everything has changed. And it kind of juxtaposed my point about it doesn't look like anything has changed. I mean, the people who I'm working with, they don't see the change. They're hungry to get back into a routine that makes them feel more grounded or stable, which is counter to the opportunity that you're talking about. How do people get past their situations? So this is how dysfunction in families, this is how dysfunction anywhere gets replicated, is because it's easier, because homeostasis brings us back to place. So how do you, to answer the question or to explore the question, how do you get beyond your circumstances, is really the challenge and the opportunity that we all have as guides in people's lives is to nudge them, to draw them out, to reassure them, to connect with them, and is to bring forth the things that they've been wondering about for a long time, but have not had the opportunity to validate. So I think that's really important.
Well,
is when people start talking about their inspirations, is to validate those.
But you need to provoke them into it. You need to provoke them. I need to inspire them, and we need to be the change, and they'll come with us.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea you guys are teaching. I think the idea of us teaching together, you guys, Stacy and Gayle teaching together, is that
would be
when
awesome.
people come, because it's beautiful, because you guys, from the one mind comes many distinctions and many honors, right? If you can, because everybody has these separate realities, but the truth is, we live from one big mind, but it's in many beautiful expressions. So we're not oppositional, and we can see the oneness, right? It's a beautiful it's very, very beautiful. And last night, I wanted to share what happened last night. So last night, it's about 8:00, and my neighbor comes over. He's a visiting neighbor. His brother lives close to me, and he's banging at my door. And I looked at the little people. Who's banging at my door now? It sounded like a state trooper. Bang, 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 and he sees my face. This is my neighbor who, him and his brother told me they love me, and he's like, he told me his brother just passed away of the virus, which I didn't know. And he's asking me if I could give him a ride. So I'm in between two worlds. I told my family I'm not going to give anybody rides right now. So what came to me was, look, I love you. I made this promise, and I could see it was this very delicate moment where I wanted him to feel that I cared. At the same time, I made a promise, and it was startling, because I realized no matter how we take what's going on, I could just see that so much is shifting. I just wanted to get your. So he's banging on my door. He's asking me, but I paused. I slowed down consciously. By the way, I feel he was going very fast emotionally. I slowed down. I felt it in my body, and at the same time, I wanted him to know that I was really appreciating what was happening. And the funny thing is, I had seen his brother like several days before, and I guess it took me. I know it took a moment to realize he was gone physically. His physical body had left. And I realized that one of my tough dilemmas was he'd come over here and he'd want me to drive him to the liquor store. And I'm like, I never go to liquor stores. And it was like, every so often I would. But I would say to him, like, I'm doing this because you don't have a car right now. And I'm doing it to kind of assist you. But it's sort of like, it was sort of a dilemma. I didn't want to be totally rigid. But I just wanted to just throw that out there because it was. And by the way, as I sat in my place last night, I was definitely tuning in. I was tuning into. I've been doing research on these dogs, these dogos, and I was sort of getting into that mode. I guess what it is to expand our reality and allow someone else to be in a different reality and sort of meet them, and yet at the same time not get thrown off is one of the more challenging things in our day, right? To be able to meet someone and receive where they're at. The same when I was 18, I had I was hitchhiking. Someone put a knife to my throat. I allowed that to be. And I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes when you could be with something, it will transform, and it's sort of the opposite of how we're schooled. We're kind of schooled in many levels to react, to do, and sometimes it's totally about doing. So I wanted to kind of put this out because it was startling last night what happened, and yet at the same time it was so much about how we keep, in some sense, we're bringing ourselves to life. There's a beingness of that. There's something that's different. And it's sort of interesting. The other thing I want to comment on real quick are the sports channels around Boston. So the sports channels, they're hilarious because they run the sports shows as if nothing's happening in the culture. And the only relevant thing is when we're going to play baseball again, which I think is sort of hilarious. And they're like, yeah, Tony has jock hits, but he'll be back next month for sure when this thing clears up. And I'm like, so I'm kind of like watching these different levels, and Stacy, I think you used the word oblivious, and I'm kind of like watching all these different realities, and also kind of feeling at the same time the beautiful idea that we're in this together, we're in life together. It's a beautiful thing that we're in life together. And when I used to have anxiety driving, I would remember have the awareness that I'm driving with all these cars and people, and yet there's one mind, there's one divine mind here, and I'm together with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, the oneness of it all, and
beautiful.
The interconnectedness between humans and animals and plants and the earth, and we need to slow down and take a moment and realize that this quarantine helps us focus on just on the problem, it helps us focus on the problem, but gives us enough time to slow down and adopt new habits, and just realize that we can all work together. We can all work together and help each other to get through this. And there's not going to be a norm. It's not going to go back to normal because there is no normal. I mean, who knows?
Mm-hmm. Normal wasn't working.
Normal wasn't working is a best-selling New York Times bestseller.
That's true.
Called Normal Wasn't Working.
Right on, Jerry. Right.
now the earth, now Pachamama is showing us that, guess what? Look, it wasn't working, so let's all be interconnected and
you're the virus.
Yes.
Right.
But just imagine how disappointing it could feel to people when they're hoping for so much to be better and change, and not enough changes for them. I think that's what I'm seeing, is that there are people who are also open to change, but falling back into a family system, a work system, a economic system that is not changing as much as they had hoped. And there's going to be grief from that too. I mean, the implications for how it is remarkable how much how this is it's just affecting people's sense of reality and sense of efficacy, and people need conversation to help them further their goals. And a lot of people don't have those conversations right now. They don't have people to help them reevaluate and enter into a new, better way. So I'm hopeful, and I'm also
the dog speak.
Yeah. Oh my God! Let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question. No, they're actually those are cameo appearances. Those are celebrity dogs. Ivana, are you on the line right now? Ivana, my brilliant writer. Ivana, the vibrant writer. Anyway, sorry I missed you if I did miss you. Do me a favor, Stacy. Go ahead and give out your website or share how people could be in touch. Because you might be saying something that's speaking so deeply to someone right now, and I want to make sure they can reach us. I'll have everybody give out their website. So, to people who want to continue this vibrant experience and this vibrant conversation, and you feel personally you're ready for a connection, dialogue and conversations are purifying. I don't do interviews. I see interviews just going too quick. This is a deepening. As you finish listening, I want you to encourage you to walk and breathe and don't think about it. Just sort of let it flow through your system. How can people be in touch with you, Stacy?
Well, in the same way that moment at the dumpster occurred for you, Glenn, and you reached out,
Yes.
I would really love people to have that similar dumpster experience and call me. I can be found at www.stacyfeiner.com. That's 5 letters in my first name, STACY, F like Frank, EINER, or 216-315-3155.
Thank you. I always love phone numbers. All right. Sherry, the dog mystic who's sharing these principles. You're gonna hit us with a 10-second principle. Go ahead and give out your website, and then you're gonna leave us with a 3-second principle. A dog mystic principle. What's your contact? Please. Paging dog mystic. Dog mystic? Do we lose the dog mystic? Dog mystic?
Yeah, I think
we haven't lost the dog mystic. All right,
Okay.
Lisa, why don't you? Okay, well, let's go. Sorry, let's go to Gayle. Lisa.
Sorry, I was in on mute. I didn't realize it.
I thought you were delivering a puppy or something. Go. What's your website? How do people get in touch with you?
So thedogmystic.com.
Thedogmystic.com. All right.
Yes.
What's our dog mystic principle for today? What's the one principle you want people to breathe in and bring to their dog kingdom and share with life? What's the one principle? I'm not putting any pressure on you.
Anytime that you're feeling that anxiety, and you're feeling that anxiety and the fear and of the unknown, just breathe. And even if you just take a moment to hug your dog and see the way that they're breathing, and breathe with them. Breathe with them to be in the present moment and enjoy the the oneness that you have with your dog.
That was it. Oneness. The principle of oneness.
Yes.
That's so beautiful. Okay, let's go to Lisa. Lisa, who I'm giving different names to. I give her different ethnicities, and she's so flexible and wonderful. My utter silliness, and also I love playing with crazy wisdom, Lisa. Crazy wisdom. It's true wisdom. Crazy wisdom.
Yeah.
You know what crazy wisdom is?
Everybody right now is, we always say we don't have time, but we do have time right now.
Yeah.
And we find what moves you and inspires you and, inspires others. And I would really, encourage everybody to take that time to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the common, thank you, Lisa. The common denominator of all my teachers when I was studying their deep messages is to live a life beyond the calendar, to live a life beyond time, and let a deeper wisdom thunder through you. And it's crazy because when we leave terminal normality, we begin a new life. All right, Gayle Randall, my beloved Dr. Gayle Randall, the general, my co-host, one of them. I still love you.
Yeah,
how do people reach you? How do people? Go ahead.
I want to leave people with the notion that they need to open themselves to the energies that are coming in, and that's going to give them the energy and the thought process, because we don't have a lot of time, so we need to take the direct route, stay open, move forward, be positive, and come together. All the people, like Sherry said, all the people, animals, plants, and things, and the humans.
We will prevail. We will prevail for sure.
Your life's precious. I love it. I love that. I love you guys to exhale into that. That's so beautiful. Your life's precious. Enjoy it. I'm Glenn Brooks. Thank you guys deeply. I love you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful week.